Hello, everyone. This is Matt and Janine.
Today we are here to talk about our entertainment wrap up for September. This includes trips that we went on, updates on what we're doing in the art class at Double House, movie reviews, a theater review for a play that we saw, and some TV show episode reviews. And to wrap up, we're going to do a reading progress and wrap up. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is our recent um, weekend trip to Stowe.
So, this ended up being an early celebration since it's been 6 years since Jean and I had our commitment ceremony. And I took her to this place in Stowe called the Von Trapp Lodge, which was a place that she visited one time before, but had a little bit of under the weather experience. So, I made sure that this was a good learning experience and a nice vacation time expected. And if you've never been to Vermont before, it's mostly called the land of the Green Mountains, since it's the Green Mountain State. And you could see all kinds of peaks around, such as Mount Mansfield, that was a little bit northwest of us.
Um, I feel the timing of this vacation was very well done and well suited because A, because of the fall foliage, and B, because the weekend that we went happened to be the 60th anniversary of the Sound of Music movie, which
And
is
the
one of
75th anniversary of the hotel.
so this hotel is owned by the Von Trapp family, and we took a nice tour of the grounds of the hotel and also got to meet one of the grandchildren of Maria Von Trapp who lives there. Her name is Christina. She was very nice. And my favorite part of the vacation was just being out in nature in the fall scenery and starting to see the fall foliage, and also I learned a lot that I didn't know about the Von Trapps because I mean there's some like they they talked about how the movie got a lot of stuff wrong and they had to change things. For example, like in the scene at the end where they're crossing over the Alps, they didn't cross over the mountains to escape. They actually hopped on a train to Italy to get away from the Nazis. And another thing that's different is that there were 10 Von Trapp children, not 7. In the movie, Captain Von Trapp is really gruff and he acts like he doesn't like music. The whole Von Trapp family was always a musical family. They traveled all around the country and all around the world to perform.
Not only this, but the place where we started our adventure not only has that, but they also do cow tours and sheep tours. And people can go in for a nice morning on stage for yoga. And the dining room really has some great food. And if you try any of the cheeses and tartar and fruits, you can see that that's what most people would call a typical breakfast in Europe, such as Austria.
Mm-hmm.
But please remember, if you eat French toast or pancakes in Vermont, real maple syrup, because that's what's known for, the maple and the sap that makes it.
Mm-hmm. So the next thing we wanted to talk about is starting to um, get the information out there about our art show at Double House um, in December. It will be on December 12th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Our theme for our artwork this semester is the four elements: earth, wind, and fire. So, um one of the main things I'm going to be selling there is a self-published copy of a Friends and Gilmore Girls fan fiction that I have been working on since February. It will be $15 and I am accepting pre-orders. If you want to send me a message on Instagram, drop me a note and I'll add you to the list and I will get you a copy. And all of the artwork that we typically sell at our art show is between $15 and $20. So we hope that you can come support us on December 12th. What are you going to be making for the art show?
I had to give it some thought, and what I'm going to make for the art show is continuously cut my thoughts and of landscapes, especially in the fall time, and based on maybe when we were out on the sea, because water is one of the elements.
Yeah. Did you get a lot of inspiration while we were out today with Jen and Patty on a cruise?
I think I did actually, and I told them about the islands that they would see when we were going out to the bay. And then we would turn back, and then you would see Falmouth and some of the road of 295 before you the final point in Portland.
So thank you, Jen and Patty, for inviting us on the Casco Bay cruise. We had a really good time today. Um, so the next part of our entertainment review video for today is movie reviews. The first movie is one we just finished watching 2 minutes ago, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which came out in 1996.
1986.
1986, sorry, 1986, and it starred Matthew Broderick, Alan Ruck, and Jennifer Grey. Jennifer Grey, for those of you who do not remember, was on Dirty Dancing. Was in the movie Dirty Dancing that came out earlier in the 80s. I think it came out.
No, it came out after 1987.
Oh, okay, it came out after. And then she was later in Friends as Rachel's high school classmate Mindy, um, who marries her ex-husband Barry. Um, so we also watched we watched one episode of the TV show of Ferris Bueller's Day Off from 1990 back in August. And I have to say, while Jennifer Aniston was well cast as Ferris's sister in the TV show, I think Jennifer Grey did a. They are both very talented actresses, but Jennifer Grey did a lot better with playing Jeannie in the movie than Jennifer Aniston did in the TV show. I think I'm just so used to seeing her play Rachel that I'm not used to seeing her play other characters. What did you think of the TV show of Ferris Bueller versus the movie?
The movie really had a lot more chemistry. Plus, as Janine said, Jennifer Grey was a better fit for Ferris's older sister. So it just tackles the conversation greatly for kids who are up to high school who should never skip days of school off just to play hooky because that can get you into trouble.
And we never, either of us never did that. So we can't really relate to these characters, but it's just a fun movie to watch. And like, my favorite scenes is when they're exploring downtown Chicago because of the scenery. The cinematography is great. Like in every movie we see where people are traveling places, no matter where they're going.
And Chicago used to be where my dad and his parents lived before my father moved to New England, and he first met my mother at Tufts Medical School in the late 1970s. Just recently, a couple weeks ago, I replaced one of the pictures that are on the wall in our hallway in this apartment with a picture that took place in May of 1980 when I was off of East Boston, where they were doing a special at that point with the big sail boats and the guard and stuff like that. It was really a time honored event at that point, and we kept it for many years in locations where I lived with my parents. But thanks to my mother, she let me have one of them, and it looks good on the wall here.
The next movie that we watched is Happy Gilmore, which stars Adam Sandler. And we watched this movie because the sequel came out over the summer, and I had never seen the original, so I felt it was sensible to see the original movie before I saw the sequel. So I'm a big fan of Adam Sandler. He's from Manchester, New Hampshire, which was 20 minutes from where we used to live in Nashua, and he's a pretty big New Hampshire celebrity, like Mandy Moore and Mike O'Malley from Mike and Molly is. And so I have seen a lot of Adam Sandler's movies, and out of all the characters he has played, Happy Gilmore was probably one of my least favorites because he was rude and obnoxious. And um the other character in this movie I liked was Julie Bowen. For those of you who don't know who Julie Bowen is, she plays Claire on Modern Family. So she was on in this movie before she was on Modern Family. It's really cool to see where she got her start. What did you like about Happy Gilmore?
Well, this is a chemistry of Happy, who always wanted to have a dream pursuing being a hockey player, but ends up with his slapstick style when he tests it with a golf club one day when he's helping with his grandmother move from the house to a nursing home. Suddenly, when he gets that honored to hit that ball up to 400 yards, he gets to play in this 18-hole tournament, and with a win in that, that qualifies him for the PGA Tour. Because there's some great guest cameos in this movie. Vern Lundquist, for instance, who was a longtime anchor for CBS Sports.
And the late Bob Barker from The Price is Right.
Well, Bob Barker is in a scene with Happy during a pro-am where when Happy shoots his shots, he gets distracted easily from a crazed fan, and that just throws his game off. And they, when they get taught down to last, that is when Bob accuses him of being a bad golfer, and that's when the fight starts. But many fans who watched The Price is Right over the years and enjoyed Bob Barker actually thought that was one of the great scenes in movies that they ever seen, and they even did a showcase in 1996 as a part of this tradition.
So we gave Happy Gilmore a B plus. The next movie that we watched was the live action version of Lilo and Stitch. This movie came out on Memorial Day weekend, but we waited to see it on streaming because the theaters were really crowded at the time that it came out.
So what we both appreciated in this version of Lilo and Stitch was the great scenery in Hawaii. But also, I thought maybe Tierra Carrera, also who originally did the voice of Nani, Lilo's sister, she made a great cameo appearance in the movie for another role. So
Who was she?
her name is Tia Carrera.
No, which character did the actress who played Nani's sister, was that her name, Tia?
Tia Carrera,
Oh,
yes.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I have never been to Hawaii, so that's what once again, great cinematography with all of the scenes in Hawaii. And I also have in the notes here that the other thing we liked about it was the use of Hawaiian actors.
That's right. And the last film that we're going to review will be The Princess Diaries.
So the reason why I wanted to watch this series again was because the sequel is coming out next year. The third movie is coming out next year. The third movie was supposed to come out a couple of years ago, but it got delayed because the director Gary Marshall died of cancer. So for those of you who have never seen Princess Diaries, it's now a three-movie series. The first movie came out in 2001, no, 2003. The second movie came out 2 years later, and then the next movie is coming out next year. These movies star Anne Hathaway as Mia Thermopolis and Dame Julie Andrews as her grandmother, um, the Clarice Queen of Genovia. Genovia is like a made up country in the world of these films. Um, and I really liked how. So, Mia is a socially awkward 15-year-old girl who doesn't know that she came from royalty until her grandmother comes to visit. And then she gives her training to like be more ladylike and stuff because she's socially awkward and not very ladylike.
So the
Um,
first thing that they change, in addition to learning about posture and other things that a princess does, was change her face, especially when her hair goes from curly to straight, which is more like the Anne Hathaway we know.
Right. And like that's what I don't like about makeover scenes in movies, because when you already go into the movie knowing what the actress looks like, and when they have a makeover to turn into something else, they look like themselves pretty much. Because like in the beginning of the movie, before she gets the makeover, Mia has like really curly frizzy hair that's kind of messy, and then of course when she gets the makeover, it's straight and much like what Anne Hathaway's hair actually does look like. I think the frizzy hair was probably a wig.
So now we're going to go into theater reviews.
And the recent play we saw was Anything Goes at the Portland Players here in Portland. Um,
So this was the premiere for this season of the Portland Players, and Gene and I have seen Anything Goes before.
the last time we saw Anything Goes was in 2012 at the New London Barn Playhouse, and then the following year, 2013, at the Amato Center when our friend Olivia Vordenberg played Reno Sweeney. So what are your favorite songs from this show?
I obviously like Anything Goes, and I also like Blow Gabriel Blow, and It's the Lovely and Friendship.
Those are all my favorite songs too. Additionally, I also like um You're the Top and Goodbye Little Dream, Goodbye and The Gypsy and Me. Who are your favorite characters?
Oh, I like Reno. I also like Hope, and I do also like the Captain and also the Angels.
The notable performances in this show were by Catherine Kellogg, who played Reno Sweeney,
Mhm.
Colleen Quintana, who played Hope Harcourt, Sean Silva, who played Lord Evelyn Oakley, um, Ellie Joseph, who I think kind of sounded like Megan Mullally from Will and Grace, and I extended that compliment to her after when we saw her in the lobby. Um, the captain, played by Luke Perry, and Elijah J. Whitney, played by Bernie Horowitz, and also, as you said, the Angels, who were played by Summer Bishop, Marie Jacques,
Brianna Lacey.
Kelly Mosher, Erica Richardson, and Emma Tompkins.
Right.
So great job to the cast and crew and production team of Anything Goes at Portland Players.
Now we're going to do some TV show episodes, and the first one we're going to review is this series called Wednesday. And I hope you have remembered the Addams Family and what Wednesday is really like.
So, um, the Wednesday TV series is a TV series that focuses on Wednesday Addams from the Addams family going to private school called Nevermore Academy, which of course is a reference to Edgar Allan Poe's poem The Raven. Um, and if you like Edgar Allan Poe like I do, you should also watch the Gilmore Girls episode A Tale of Poes and Fire, which is where a society of people who like Edgar Allan Poe go to the Independence Inn for a conference. So yeah, so this series first aired in 2019, right before the pandemic hit, and we really enjoy it. We sorry. Um, Jenna Ortega, who was originally from
Disney Channel and the show Stuck in the Middle.
yes, she is very well cast as Wednesday Addams. I think she captures all her mannerisms perfectly. Um,
And when you hear about when you're in Adams, you would expect Wednesday to be a dark, unemotional character, and Jenna Ortega does that very well.
Absolutely. So we are about 3 episodes in to Wednesday. We are watching episodes 4 and 5 on Wednesday night or Tuesday. Yeah, Wednesday, because we're watching Dancing with the Stars on Wednesday. For
On
those of you
Tuesday.
on Tuesday, for those of you who have been following Dancing with the Stars, Danielle Fishel from Boy Meets World is um the focus of my attention and that show this year a couple of years ago. Allison Hannigan from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and How I Met Your Mother was on there, and she got all my votes. Danielle Fishel is also getting all my votes. Um, so the next TV show episode we are talking about is The Office costume
This came
costume
out
contest.
in season 7, episode 6. And like Janine said, this is full of costumes and also contests for the best costume. It really depicts on what their business is like and what they do on Halloween.
Which costume did you like the best?
I think I remember as Pam when she put on a olive oil.
I liked Pam's costume and also Daryl's.
So we skipped ahead to season 7 because we're doing mostly, like most of these shows, episodes in order and season.
Well, and the reason why we skipped ahead to a season 7 episode was because we couldn't find any other Halloween episodes that were in the earlier seasons or the
Right.
season we're currently watching right now, which I think is season 4.
Mm-hmm.
Um the final TV episode that we're going to talk about is called The Unsinkable Mommy Adler from Will and Grace. This episode features Debbie Reynolds as a guest star. She plays Grace's mom, Bobby, and she was really well cast as Grace's mom. I thought she did a great job. I see a lot of um, similarities be in the dynamics between Bobby and Bobby and Grace, Monica and Judy Geller, and Lorelai and Emily Gilmore, because uh, um, Grace, Monica, and Emily are all very critical of their daughters, and they're kind of abusive towards. Well, okay, Monica's mom is very abusive and controlling, and um, so is Emily. But we don't really see much controlling behavior. She does try to force um Will and Grace to get married, even though Will is gay, which I thought was weird. Like, I would have thought that she would have known Will is gay. Maybe she knew and forgot. And I also saw another movie with Debbie Reynolds in it yesterday with Kathleen called Halloween Town. Halloween Town is a 2001 Disney Channel original movie starring Kimberly J. Brown and Debbie Reynolds. Debbie Reynolds plays the grandmother, who is a witch, and she lives in a town called Halloween Town. Not a town that is kind of similar to the animated movie Halloween Town from The Nightmare Before Christmas, but there are actual real life people who are ghosts and goblins. And I thought this movie was really creative. I really enjoyed it. I would definitely want to watch it every single year in October and watch the other 2 movies in the series as well. What did you like the best about this episode of Will and Grace?
Well, you were right. It's a similar dynamic, but I also like Debbie Reynolds as an actress in general. But you're right, forcing on that, especially when you know Will is gay, that's just a little bit too much.
Before I begin with my reading wrap up, what books have you been reading?
The 2 books I've been reading right now are Bowl Away, and I also have Night Travelers. I'm doing Night Travelers because of the honor of Hispanic Heritage Month. It was written by a Hispanic, and it's about these girls who make a living in Germany. But the time is getting closer toward Adolf Hitler and them fleeing from Germany and stuff with a kind of a travel out at night. And then Bowlaway, not mistakenly, this would be about bowling, which is really my passion, but it dates back to the early 1900s with being more of a mystery town, especially when the family of this character has their own private bowling area. Now, before Jean gets to her
What did you think of where? First of all, how long are you? How far are you into Bowlaway?
to Bowlaway, I am about past. I read the first part. I'm going to start the second part, and then my other book, I'm on page 69. Now, I was about to say, Janine, that also before she does her reading wrap up, I want to make note that Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy has started their seasons again, and this past week, in case you didn't watch it, we had there was $1 million winner in the bonus round, and it happened on the night that Jean and I visited Mechanics Hall for Lily King. So I missed it at first, but I found out about it on news media the next day. Okay,
Okay,
Jean, now you're reading wrap
the
up.
reason why I was asking about Bowlaway is because I read that book in August, and I really found a mystery to be engaging. Um, what part of the mystery are you in?
Like I said, I finished the first part. I'm going to start the second.
What did you find most interesting about the first part?
The first part, I think it was about the owner of the bowling alley, which was very interesting and made the woman who was in the bowling team come together.
Okay, so for my reading wrap up for August and September, I'm going to talk about books that I read for the past couple of months, and a couple of books that one book I just two books that I'm reading currently, and then I'm gonna just show books that me and Kathleen are gonna be talking about in our next podcast episode that's coming out next week. In the next 2 weeks, the first book that I read in September, August and September, was a Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. This is the sequel to The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. The reason why I selected it for the From Manhattan to Stars Hollow TBR is because of the small town setting, the setting of the main character works at an inn. Um, there's a grumpy sunshine dynamic. The historian of the town, his name is Luke. Our main character's name is Sarah. Um, and she reminds me a lot of Suki. The next book is a book by a new author that I discovered. I've heard about her through a couple of other people have read this book. I know Destiny Sidwell recently reviewed it, and she gave it the exact same rating I did, which was 4.5 stars. Um, so as you can see by the cover of this book, it's set in a small town similar to Stars Hollow. It's set in a town called Copper Run, Vermont. This this cover artist did a really good job. I don't know if she intentionally wanted to design a character that looks pretty similar to Lauren Graham, but that's the vibe that I get. And this character reminds me of Luke. So this got 4.5 stars. The next book that I read is called All the Way, which is the first, I mean, All for You, which is the first book in this trilogy by Kristen Proby called Romancing Manhattan. I obviously picked this trilogy of books by Kristen Proby for the TBR because of the New York City setting. So I'm starting the second book in the trilogy today. The next book that I read in September was Eleanor. Oliphant is completely fine. I selected this for the From Manhattan to Stars Hollow TBR because it was the first book that Reese Witherspoon ever picked for her book club when it started in 2017, I think. So it's been around for 8 years. And I have really loved a lot of books that she selected, except for a couple. Um, so this book focuses on a girl named Eleanor who has a toxic relationship with her mom, very similar to Monica's relationship with Judy and Lorelai's relationship with Emily. But she was a really easy character to root for, and I was really hoping that she would get out of the abusive relationship and try to overcome it. And I don't want to spoil how it ends, so you should definitely read this book. I gave it 4.5 stars. The next book is called Flirting Lessons. This is by Jasmine Gilroy. Another book that I have read by her is a modern retelling of Beauty and the Beast called By the Book, which is part of the Meant to Be series. This book focuses on Taylor and Avery. And I really liked their dynamic. I really think that I really liked their dynamic and how they built their relationship up. So I selected this book for the TBR because of the episode from season 6 or season 7. I don't remember which season it's in, but it's called the one where Ross can't flirt, where Ross tries to flirt with the pizza girl, but then ends up talking about gas ovens. The next book, so this book got 4 stars. The next book that I read in August and September was called I Am Malala. This is the memoir of Malala Yousafzai, who was a very vocal advocate for education in her home country of Afghanistan. And she's very inspirational. If you have not read this book, I highly recommend that you do, especially in the political climate we are currently in. This is a great book to read about standing out for stuff that you believe in. The next book I read is a cool little murder mystery called Murder in the Dressing Room. I picked this up on the adult fiction shelf at the library. So this is one of those books that I found by my own volition and not through lists on Instagram or YouTube. Um, this focuses on a murder that happens at a drag show, kind of like Luda, which I read for Pride Month. I picked this book for the TBR because of Chandler's dad, Charles, aka Helena Handbasket, who has a drag show in Las Vegas. The mystery in this book was very fun to solve, and this was another new author for me as well, Holly Stars. So I can't wait to see what else she has that I can read. So that's my wrap up for um, books that I read. And here are some books that I'm currently reading. I just finished this book this morning. It's a short little novella. It's about 105 pages. This book was recommended to me by 2 different booktubers, Jack Edwards and Taylor at Diaries of Creativity. Um, Taylor has this in her video where she talks about books that Rory Gilmore would read in 2024. And this book focuses on motherhood and talks about having children. Like, I cannot relate to these characters, but I've been on such a kick all year this year about reading translated fiction. Of course, Friedrich Bachmann, who wrote Beartown, he's one of my favorite authors. So I loved this book, and then another translated book that I highly recommend is called Hunchback. The next book I'm currently reading is called Falling Like Leaves, which is a YA book by Misty Wilson. I cannot remember who mentioned this in their reading wrap up. I think it might have been Gabby Reeves. I think it might have been Brittany Grace. I don't remember. But so this book takes place in a small town called Bramble Falls, which you can tell is similar to Stars Hollow because the author specifically says in her dedication, to all my PSL drinking, sweater wearing, apple picking, Gilmore Girls watching, pumpkin patch going, candy corn eating, fall loving readers, this one's for you. So yeah, so this is a YA book about a girl who is applying to colleges, so very much Rory in season 3 of Gilmore Girls, which I am just finishing up. and it's about applying to college and stuff like that. So this main female character reminds me of Rory, and then, or maybe it's supposed to be Rory and I'm not sure who the guy is. Probably Rory and Jess is what I'm thinking. So I just started this book on Thursday, and I am currently on page 146. It has a preview for the next episode of the podcast. Two books that me and Kathleen are reviewing in our in the next video that we're filming on October 24th are Beach Read by Emily Henry and Bride by Allie Hazelwood. And additionally, we're also reviewing book 2 in this series, Mate, which is coming out on Tuesday. So our next entertainment wrap up video um will be October and November content that we've consumed, and that video will be out right before Thanksgiving. And the next podcast episode that Kathleen and I are doing will be out on the Thursday before Halloween.
We hope that all of you are enjoying the good weather. If you have some unseasonably warm conditions here, like we are here in Portland, Maine. So until then, have God bless and have a good rest of the month of October, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in.